Hello and welcome from my dingy, disgusting hotel room from Huntsville, Alabama. It is Saturday night and I'm going to make a drink. And I don't have an official um, opening, and some people do. And I think at some point I will have an open for my YouTube show. But this is my show while we're talking. Take the pressure off of me. I'm going to make a drink. Now, I don't drink every night, but I do drink. Usually only drink when I'm with Laura, but tonight I am by myself in my lonely, disgusting, dingy hotel room. The police have been out here. When I came home from work, there were six squad cars out. Last night, somebody was having a live concert. I'll be right back. I'm just going to put my ice tray away. Police were out last night. Yeah, it's pretty bad. So this is an old fashioned. It's my favorite drink. It's very easy to make. It's for people who like whiskey but are pussies at the same time. So I like whiskey, but I like it a little sweet. So I'm adding a cherry and some bitters, and of course some simple syrup, which is basically a 1-to-1 ratio of sugar and water. And that's probably too much. That's probably too much. But usually the first one's too sweet, and then I just add whiskey to it as I go. God, everything's sticky. No wonder everything's disgusting. It's because thing I everything I own is sticky. Let me wash my hands off. It's disgusting. I don't want to gross you out while I'm trying to sell books to you. So anyway, this is my YouTube channel. I've used it for a lot of different things. Currently, I'm using it to. That was too much water, but and that's it. I usually when I'm at Laura's house, I have a shaker, and I got one at my house too. But you got to make do. You got to survive, even in a disgusting hotel room. I got a new job. It's supposed to be part time, and that's why I was excited about it because it was part time and just enough hours to make some ends meet in between my royalties and everything, and fiddle gigs and things like that. And like, I think I interviewed, and the next week I came in on Monday, and by Thursday, I was on the road and I was in North Carolina for 10 days. And now I'm in Huntsville, Alabama for 10 days. Uh, and because of that, I've had to find ways to balance out my life. I don't mind. I mean, I don't like being away from home this long. And mostly, I don't like being away from Laura because I am in love with her. And we would normally be together on Saturday night. We're usually yes, we're not married. We probably won't ever be. That's a decision we made together. If she wants to someday, we might. But we kind of like it that way. Okay, I'm going too far. Too many things. I'm tired. I'm tired. Okay, hang with me. All right, so let's get on with the first thing. So I'm on. Well, I'll explain Huntsville in a minute. A little bit more about that later on. But I want to say that I am on some podcasts, which I really like. One of the reasons why I'm doing this channel is to help promote my books and also to work on my presentation voice. So I do a lot of in-person uh, in-person presentations. Like public speaking. I really enjoy doing that, and I like being on podcasts. And I don't know if I've ever been on a podcast where like the next day I notice a significant boost in sales, but I think it can't hurt. Well, I will say this. I was on, I think it was the same one. I think I was on the Civil War, uh, the Civil War podcast, the Untold Civil War podcast with Paul Hoza. And I think months later, and he had done other episodes since, and months later, I got like a Facebook message or something. Somebody reached out to me and said, "Hey, I heard you on that show. I really enjoyed that podcast. I bought your book. I love it, and I think hopefully that person has read through all my books." And I think that's one of the that's one of the goals of an author, especially if you're a genre fiction author like me, where you're writing like series. The historical fiction is a great genre for series writing, and I would say lucky, but I lucky that I wrote a good book. My first book, Rampage on the River: The Battle for Island Number 10, seems to do a good job as a series starter, because when I look at my sales of book 3, 4, uh, book 2, 3, and 4, all those books sell. And usually I can see like a cascading sales. So especially through KEMP or Kindle Unlimited, where people, it's like Netflix, where you pay a certain fee every month, and you can read as many books as you want, and the author gets paid like a little less than half a penny a page. So I've been on a lot of podcasts. I was on with Paul. He got with me a while back, and he said, "Hey, I noticed you got this book on the Mexican War. Will you do a come on my show and and talk about the Mexican War?" And I know Paul. I know his podcast very well. I recommend it highly. And by the way, if you want to listen to the podcast I'm talking about, it's right down there in the description. And I will tell you this: I've done a lot of. I've been on several podcasts now. I've done a lot of public speaking. I feel like my performance on that is my best ever. So I'm really, really proud of it. But I had to tell him, I said, well, a couple things, because I know that Paul is a Civil War guy and his show is Civil War focused. It's Untold Civil War. I said, okay, just so you know, not only, well, there is one Civil War guy in it, um, uh, Grant, Ulysses S. Grant makes an appearance in my book, Mexico, My Love, because he was in the Mexican War, and it made sense because I had to pay off something that I did in Perils of Perryville, that he would meet my main character during the war and have that memory. Um, and I said, not only that, but it's actually from the Mexican perspective. The Mexicans are the good guys in my book. I said, but I do have Grant, and I will put together something for you. And we'll talk about some Civil War generals that were there. So I got to tell you, I worked really hard. For about a week, I stopped writing. All my free time was spent on preparing for that podcast, and I picked 4 Civil War generals. I picked Grant because he's actually in my book. I picked Lee because you can't talk about Grant without talking about Lee, and Lee is a superstar. I mean, Lee really becomes like starts his reputation as a great soldier in the Mexican War, is where he really starts making his fame, and rightfully so. And then I picked Gordon Granger because Gordon Granger is in my first book, Rampage on the River, and the guy who I would impersonate if someone asked me if they ever make a movie or a Netflix thing of my books. I would like to do a cameo as Gordon Granger because I think I look like him. And Braxton Bragg, because Braxton Bragg is in The Perils of Perryville. Is he in? He's also in. He's in Blood for Blood at Nashville a little bit too. I don't know if he's in Rampage on the River, but I don't think he is. But he is in Perils, and he's a great character. I liked writing him. Braxton Bragg is maybe one of my favorite characters from the Civil War. He was an absolute asshole, um, and just the, and he was very hated. he was hated more by his own guys. He was a Confederate general than uh, than than the Union guys. He was just a, but he was honorable and personally brave, and I think he's just an interesting guy. And so I. I did. I prepared. I spent a week researching and getting great stories and side stories and all sorts of things about those four guys um, in the Mexican War, and then connecting it to the Civil War. I think it came off really well. Paul was very happy about it. So anyway, go over there and give that a listen. I've been on, what else have I been? I've been on the U.S. Civil War and or American Civil War and UK history. What Darren Rawlings, I love him. I could talk to Darren all day long. I consider Darren a friend, as I do Paul. Um, Darren is an American Civil War nut. He's English. He lives in England, somewhere in the London area. He is on the board for the London um, Civil War Roundtable. He told me the day I come to England, I automatically have a slot to speak to their group. So I'm looking forward to that someday. Someday, I like to say, I do really well in the UK, and sometimes some months my royalties are higher in the UK than they are in the US. And I've been on Book Talk, or no, Books 101 with Daniel Lucas. Daniel, I got a lot of respect for him. He's the hardest working man I know. He lives in Canada. I guess he's Canadian. He's from somewhere where he's got an accent, but he's from Canada, and he's got multiple podcasts. He's got Books 101, Comedy 101, Cooking 101, and something else. He has photography books, poetry books that he's published. I mean, the man is just never stops. I got on there. I was really excited about it because Baptiste Pinson-Wu, who I'm reading his second book right now, was on there as well, and I really like Baptiste. Baptiste has got a channel like mine where he's an author like me, and he also reviews books, and great guy. But anyway, I've been on Books 101 quite a bit. We've done an episode for every single one of my books. I think it's because Daniel's constantly looking for content. And so we got done. And I was like, finally, because it's like every Sunday and it's at 8:30. And usually by 8:30, I'm ready to go to bed, man. Because I'm an early riser. I get up sometime between 4 and 6 in the morning, usually around 4 or 5 in the morning on my own without a just make sure no one comes in here and shoots me, without using an alarm clock. Just wake up. So anyway, we got done. I thought it was okay. Finally, I can take a break from Books 101 every week until my next book comes out. Well, he's like, well, I want to have you back on maybe once a month, so maybe we could just talk about what you're reading. So I said, okay. But then, like, I realized, God, I'm so busy just being prepared to do a podcast with whatever book I'm reading. It's like doing a book report every month. Just more stuff I got to do. So I might tell Daniel, and Daniel, if you listen, please forgive me. I might say, hey, let's take a break until my next book comes out, because I'm falling behind with that. And I got to get done, and I got to find time. So anyway, I would like you to give it a try. Listen to The Untold Civil War with Paul Hosa, and the episode there where I talk about Civil War generals that were in the Mexican-American War. It's very interesting, very fun, a lot of action, and interesting untold stories. And also, when I do the episode with Daniel tomorrow, it'll probably be out Monday, so I'll put a link to that. I'm going to talk about probably what I talked about last week, which is Kevin Ashton's book. And the only reason why is it takes me about a month to get through a novel, because it's just hard for me to find the time. Although I do make it a point to read a little bit every day. and I'm reading Pinson Wu's second novel, and I'm enjoying it, but I'm not prepared to talk about it. So I'm going to talk about Templar, the Battle of Mon. God, Tizab. I'm not going to try to say it right now. I wrote down like a how to pronounce it. I'm also beat. I've been working all day. All right, so let's go on to the next topic. So we did podcasts. I talked about being lonely in Huntsville. I'm working here. I usually try to keep it down to about an 8-hour day, so I could keep up with everything else. And that was the thing. I wanted a part-time job just to make enough money to help pay with the bills, where I still had plenty of time to work on my fiddle playing, because I have another dance coming up in October, and also to keep writing. And I have been struggling. I'm in the last third of my book, and I guess what I'm struggling with is I'm writing the Battle of Konigratz, but I really want it to come off well. The kind of the format of writing historical military fiction, like me, or like Bernard Cornwell, or some of these other guys, is usually it's rooted on a battle there's a marquee battle at the end of the book, which is typically what I try to do with all. I mean, my first four books all end. Well, the climax is the marquee battle. It was Island Number 10 for the first one. It was Perryville for the second, Nashville for the third, the battle for Mexico City in the fourth one. This one is Konigratz. It's a fantastic battle. And I don't want to just tell the story of my character, but I also want, when you read the book, that you can intelligently, and intelligibly, I'm struggling to be intelligible. That you have a really good idea, I mean, of how the battle went. And that's one of the things, it's one of the skills that I learned as being a reporter, of taking complicated things and boiling it down and making it simple to consume, especially in a minute and a half, which is what you get as a reporter. Well, as an author, what I try to do is to give you battles, that the Battle of Konigratz is a very important one. It basically, and I won't go into it right now, but it really does write the history, that is going to happen for the next 150 years in Europe, including the two world wars. So I think it's important for people to know. And I feel, when I write historical fiction, I feel a great responsibility that I can write my own stories, and they can be kind of romantic and swashbuckling and a little bit like, really, but I feel like my history has got to be immaculate, because you may never read about the Battle of Island number 10 outside of my book, or the Battle of Perryville, or the Battle of Nashville, or the Battle of Konigratz. So I feel like that's my responsibility, that the historical part has to be immaculate. And there's so many interesting things happening, with the changes in military technology at that time, and the rise of Prussia, which will become Germany, which will become, the Empire of Germany, which will become, the Third Reich eventually. And so, and you can see, the Germans weren't always necessarily bad people, but you can see the seeds, um, especially the military brilliance that the Prussians bring to war. Um, and you're seeing it. They call it the wars of German unification. The first one is the Schleswig-Holstein War, Austro-Prussian War, and the Franco-Prussian War. Those three wars are kind of like the maneuvers in which they created Germany. And this Germany is going to be the one that's going to cause World War One and World War Two, and nearly take over the world. So, anyway, this new job, I thought it was, man. I gotta say, I'm not complaining, but when I applied for it, what I saw was part-time job, field auditor. I won't go into what that is, but I'm basically collecting data, and in the field, which I like because there's autonomy. I don't go to an office. Is it remote? I mean, I don't go to an office. I'm working out of a car, but there was nothing in it that said you're going to spend 10 days at a time in a hotel, which is what I'm doing. Um, but and until something else comes along, and I know I'm lazy enough that I won't look, I'll probably do this. I just needed something to help me pay the bills uh, until I don't need to do something to pay the bills anymore. It's all the books, and I'll just let you know I'm doing well. I'm doing better than I should be with the. I just haven't crossed that threshold yet, but it's getting better with every single book I put out. And the fiddle, I mean, I can't discard it. I make money here and there, and I don't try. I don't go looking for gigs. I don't go asking for them. I get called, and people pay me, and it's nice. Uh, and being a musician, we got a new guitar player, possibly my bass player Dan Savage, who I just absolutely adore. Dan, he'd been in the band before he quit, probably because of me. I got him to come back to do a dance, and he seems like he's back in. So I'm trying to not to aggravate him. Um, as some of you may know, our guitar player Don Masters, he was 87 years old. He passed away. It still hurts me quite a bit. His loss. I mean, first of all, an emotional thing, yeah, and it's also a practical thing too. I mean, Don was an excellent guitar player. He came from a generation of men that, he showed up, he did his job. He was a soldier. He was actually an airman. He served with Johnny Cash, and she was in Johnny Cash's regiment. And he talked about sharing a guitar with Johnny Cash over there in Germany, staring down the communists. Um, anyway, so how do you write? And because I thought, okay, part time. I'd say part time. 12 to 32 hours a week. I'm working like 60, 70 hours a week right now. So I had to figure out. Now I have the same problem everybody else has because I hear so many people, writers bitch about, because it's really hard to go completely like you don't do anything else but write. Talk about finding time, even with families and whatever, of writing. And it's really easy for me to be arrogant and to be um, and like just stop being a pussy and just write. But um, now I understand it because I've been working. Like when I'm on the road, I can't take the weekend off. I got to work. I work today. I work tomorrow. I mean, I got here on Wednesday, and I'm not gonna go home until Friday. And even next Friday. And even then, uh, I'm gonna go out in the field and get some work done first, and then drive home. And so I decided, well, first of all, the guy who trained me like is a workaholic, and he goes out and he works 12 hours. They had to tell him don't work more than 12 hours because that's how he is. But they told me like look, you can decide how much you want to work. If you want to work, if you want to keep it to 8-hour days, which I do, mostly because I'm lazy. Hang on a second, I just need a little bit more. Not only am I lazy, but I'm also a drunk. Um, hang on. But it's more than that. It's because I have other obligations. I'm a semi-professional fiddler, and what I mean by that, but semi-professional meaning I get paid to play, but I'm not making a living. So I guess that makes me semi-professional, which I think I like that, and I don't think I want to be professional because if I were professional, sorry, these are my 2 drinks I get to have before my meal. Because if I were a professional, then I'd have to, be responsible for playing other people's music, and I play what I want. Yeah, I take the gigs I want. I don't want it to be too much of a job, but I do enjoy making some money when I play it. Um, so fortunately for me, I my grandfather was this way. Elvin Doyle Bean Blossom. He's the only person in my family that I look like, and I remember as a little kid, I'd wake up sometimes early in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. My grandpa would be up, and they'd come and visit. My grandpa would be up, sitting at the breakfast table, smoking a cigarette. 5:30 in the morning, completely dressed, shaven, hair in a pompadour. He was a very handsome, vain man. See how I see how I backdoor complimented myself because I told you that he's the only person in my family I look like, and then I tell you later on that he was very handsome. I was once very pretty, but now I'm just old with losing my hair and trying to not be fat. So I had to really force myself. I'll tell you the hardest. For me sometimes it's harder to write when I have all day to write because I screw around all day. Um, so I've decided that before I go out onto the road and do my job, that I need to practice. I need to write first, practice my fiddle. And the thing with the fiddle, I say, if you can get in 20 minutes a day. I mean, there's sometimes when I'm home where I'll practice like an hour a day, but I try to practice every day, and even if it's just like 20 minutes, just because you just got to keep your fingers fluid, your bowing, your intonation, all that. And so I will admit that I've been struggling with my writer's block lately, and I think it's just because of Kona Gratz and all the research and that's kind of the problem with doing historical fiction is that you have to. It takes longer because almost every sentence I have to make sure that I got everything right, that I'm not writing inaccuracies or things like that. So anyway, all that to say, I mean, I made a whole point out of this just to say that I'm getting up early and I'm writing in the morning. I'm not setting an alarm clock though. I usually wake up in the 4 o'clock hour. Like this morning, I was having a dream, and then I woke up and I got up and I did push-ups, sit-ups, and squats. And I've been working on that chest. I've been working on trying to stay in shape, doing that. I find it every other day doing push-ups, sit-ups, and squats when I wake up is helping, and then I walk every day as well. Usually an hour when I'm home, when I'm not working, I got nothing else going on in my life. But here I'm working. I get home, I work 20 minutes. I walk for 20 minutes. I usually call Laura and talk to her. And it's the 4 pillars of my day: work, write, fiddle, fitness, and those are the things I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And when I don't have to work for someone else, that work is going to be focusing on my ads and my marketing. Because I thought about it today, and the things that I want in my life is I, I want to put out a book from every 6 months to every 2 years. I think that's about right. I don't want it should be never shorter than 6 months, and even 6 months is too short. Even if I could do it, I don't think it'd be right. And I don't want to wait more than 2 years between books either. So if I can put out a book right around it once a year, but 6 months to 2 years, um, I want to keep playing the way I'm playing, and also be working on my my marketing skills. I really actually enjoy doing that, and I thought about maybe looking for a job where I could do Facebook ads for someone, but we'll see. We'll see how this one goes. I don't mind so much living on the road. I kind of like the minimalist monk like existence that I have. So we'll see. Okay, last thing, because I told Laura I was going to call her um, on the video chat because I don't drink every day. I only drink on the nights that I'm with Laura, and that's Friday, Saturday, and Wednesday. So I'm allowing myself while I'm on the road to do that. So let's look at my new book cover. So I I had a woman, Stephanie Churchill. She's an author. You should, if you like historical fantasy, she's got a great series on that. I read the first one. Um, Give her Stephanie Churchill is her author's name. She did my first two covers. I didn't feel right about asking her to do the third because she did it for free and she started a business. So instead, I hired a foreigner. Um, I went through Fiverr and I got someone really cheap for like $25 from Pakistan to do my third one. And I really like it, the Blood for Blood. And I won't go into it now, but there's a really funny story because his first attempt was horrible. But we, instead of dumping him, I worked with him and he gave me a great cover. For Mexico, My Love, I had a vision of what I wanted the cover to be, but I would have to hire someone to do it, and which I'm not against. I would love to hire someone to do it. It's just that I've been in and out of work, so it hasn't been prudent for me to spend a lot of money on covers, until I get some financial stability. So I found a beautiful painting that's in public domain, and I used that as the cover. And it's the Americans attacking Chapultepec Castle, which is perfect because that scene, the American attack on Chapultepec Castle, is the absolute climax of the book. So and it worked great, and I was able to import um, that painting and then use the Amazon cover builder program to build. I'm really proud of it. Now I had some my friend Jack Scott, I think he's creative manager for a TV station in Atlanta. We worked together at Channel 4 in Detroit. He was like, well, he and my mom are both producers, and they're like, they always got changes. And I'm like, you know what? That's part of being an independent, is that no one can give me their changes, their creative changes. I'm going to try, but I do like criticism. My rule of criticism is give it to me and I'll take it. And if I agree with it, or if it's an actionable thing that I think, okay, yeah, it's a great idea, but don't think that I'm just because you think that's the idea, I'm going to do it. But and Jack's right. It's just like, Jack, do you want to pay for the artist? And his, well, he didn't like Mexico My Love because he thought that, I think it's called the kerning, with like where the words are, like how far apart they are from each other, like the space in between the lines. And he's right. And I think he even said that he would do my this book cover, and I might ask him about it. I don't know. We'll see. Because what I'm going to pay him is nothing. Um, but so anyway, when I first envisioned the Prussian Prince, which is the book I'm writing now, the Prussian Prince was going to take place in the Franco-Prussian War, and I had some ideas about how I was going to tie this into Mexico, My Love, and I was going to bring some characters from Mexico, My Love, and tie up some loose ends um, from that book. But historically, it didn't work out because the, the it was supposed to be about Carl after the Civil War. He's my main character in the trilogy, getting involved in the Franco-Prussian War and all these things happening. And the problem is that the American Civil War ends in 1865 and the Franco-Prussian War starts in 1870. There's a 5-year gap, and I just couldn't find something that would make sense to fill that time with, to make the story work. And so I thought, I said, well, okay, but the Austro-Prussian War is in 1866. But the problem is that works historically for me, but the things I want to have happen have to happen in France. And so once again, because my books always have a dual plot. There's the historical plot, and then there's my fictional plot that wraps into it. And I couldn't get those to work together. And originally, so okay, originally it was going to be a Franco-Prussian War, and then I realized, okay, well, I can do this. We'll start with the Austro-Prussian War, and I was going to do like a two-part inside the book. And even with that, part one was going to be a complete story, and then a 3-year time jump that didn't really make and I came to the conclusion is that this is really two books. What I thought was going to be one book is actually really two books, because all the things that I wanted to have happen created like two different ending points. And so it just dawned on me, like, this is two books. This is not one book, it's two. One's the Austro-Prussian book, and it's got its own plot and its own resolution and its own story. And then the next one, which I don't have a title for yet, is going to take place in the Franco-Prussian War, 3 years after the conclusion of this one. So, using the idea I had with Mexico, My Love, where I took an actual painting and just made it that's in public domain and made a book cover of it, I decided to do the same thing to save a little bit of money. I'm going to save up. I think when I do Black James, I'm going to do, if you've read Mexico, My Love, I'm going to do an entire novel about Black James, the pirate. Um, I'm going to hire an artist to paint, to do the cover, and it's going to be Black James. You're just going to see like his beard with the braids and the um, that one I'm gonna commission, but I'm gonna try to save some money. So anyway, I pulled out a painting from the Franco-Prussian War and created a book cover for my original idea of what the Prussian Prince was going to be. But that no longer applies, because we're no longer doing the Franco-Prussian War in this book. We're doing the Austro-Prussian War. So I've decided to. So I redid it, and I'm going to show you. I found a great. This is actually the wallpaper on my computer, because whatever book I'm working on, I like to have visuals. Like my wallpaper is usually a painting from the era. So let me show you what I got. This is the new mock-up. I did a mock-up with a painting that was Franco-Prussian. I found a painting of the Battle of Königgrätz, which is the marquee battle of what the Prussian Prince is now. Let me show this to you. All right, share screen. And yes, I'm going to share it. Okay, bam. Let's see here. Let's see if that works. Okay, there we are. Click for more. Okay, we'll close that down. So anyway, yeah, this is I really like this. This is a great painting. I don't know if that's Königgrätz right there or Sadowa, but here are the Prussians. I mean, I absolutely love these the Pickelhaube, which is this helmet that they were wearing at that time with the spike on it. What you don't see is that's Otto von Bismarck right there, in the P. And I think that's General Moltke, who's chief of staff. What you don't see is right here is King William, Emperor Kaiser William the First. I get so frustrated because I was listening to a podcast about the Franco-Prussian War, and they kept calling him the Kaiser. He's not the Kaiser at the time. He's a König. Kaiser means emperor. König means king. He's King William the First, King of Prussia. He will become Kaiser William the First after the Franco-Prussian War, but he's right here. It's just cut off. Let me see if I can. I'll give you the full painting. Um, but I think this is great. This got some action, we got some fire, and I because this is a big painting. There's so much more that you don't see here, but I like putting the smoke and the fire behind the word Prussian. This font is very close to the font that I used for my first three books, and I think I'm going to go with this. I think I'm going to go. Let me see if I can. Let's see. Get out of this. I'm going to show you the full picture. Give me a second while I figure this out here. Let's see here. Now let's go to go recent folders, and we'll go to not the perils of Perryville. Let's see, documents, Prussian prince. Okay, yeah. Well, let me show you this. This is interesting. Okay, so we'll go back to StreamYards. Here's what it was going to be. Let's see here. I'm able to do this. Oh, that's me. Okay. Go print, present, screen share, and we'll do that one. There we go. Oh, I already did that. Okay. All right. Let's go back here. Let's do stop that. Screen share. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah. So that was the original one, and this is a great photograph or a great painting. I mean, but this is Franco-Prussian. These are Frenchmen running away in panic, and so I instead, and, and that may be what I use for the next one. We'll see. We'll see. But let's see, screen. I, I'm learning how to do this. So, oh, there I am. I'm learning how to do this. So, bear with me. But this is so much better. Look at that. You know what I'm saying? All right. I'm going to try to show you the full picture. There it is. Okay. Drop that in there. Part of this is, what I'm doing here is I'm just learning because, oh yeah, I thought about what I want to be and what I want to do. I want to put out a book every 6 months to 2 years, and I'd like to do a weekly live. Eventually, when I get a big audience, I like to bring other authors on, make it worth their while. Let's see here. I'll stop sharing, bring me back. Look how ugly I am. Do present, screen share, and is it this one? This one? No, this one. There it is. Okay. There we go. That's the full picture right there. Yeah, there you can see. And go back to it. So this is the king right here. That's Willem. That's Otto von Bismarck. That is Moltke. And I can't remember his name. But this is basically his staff. I believe they're on the hilltop, Dub Hill, which is where the king came up to witness the battle. But anyway, let's go back here. From this, I've put together. Stop screen share. Sorry. And present. And share screen. Yeah, from that, here we go. So that's what we're gonna do. unless I come up with a brilliant idea. Otherwise, let's see where we are. I'll make sure that I've made for all my promises. Let's see here. Yeah, this is actually what I want. Yeah, new book cover. So that's your weekly broadcast from me. If you help me out here, man. I want to build my channel. So give me a thumbs up, give me a like, give me a subscription. Doesn't cost you anything. And leave a comment. I'll reply. I'll check out my books and check out the podcast and subscribe to Paul's Civil War podcast. It's really good. I'll see you guys next week. I'll be broadcasting from my own home back in Nashville. I'll be home for like 3 weeks before I'm on the road again. So I love you guys. Thank you very much. Stay safe.